Hey YouTube, welcome back. Nice to have you with us, and thanks for joining us. It's Monday Night Live show. We have lots in the news today. International news, I would say today's topic is economic disasters in Turkey, Kazakhstan, Russia, Ukraine, and we're not even going to talk about the $8 trillion bomb that's about to go off in China. But yeah, stocks and crypto markets all in the red, big red slide. And then, of course, the Chinese Olympic boycott going on. So, hey, important news in finance and crypto and stocks that affect our day-to-day interaction with finance. Because being in the know is what makes the difference, because the entire world business is a numbers game. And you need to learn that game and play it better than everybody else. Welcome to our subscribers. Thanks to those of you that are being so faithful and following us. We appreciate you for the likes, and share this and hit that bell so you know when we produce a new video. And today we're hoping you're really going to leave some comments, because we have something cool going on today, a little financial test. So, hey, I'm Brad.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is Brad's Bread and Butter News Report, because you don't know what you don't know. All right, so as always, guys, you know that on Monday night at 7 p.m. our live news stream happens. You can receive $25 through Wealthsimple Cash if you subscribe and leave a comment, okay? And before the 30-minute mark, you can leave a comment, and at the 30-minute mark, we will pick a winner, and we can transfer that money to you on Wealthsimple Cash app. So make sure you subscribe and leave a comment during today's show, and then at 7:30 we will pick our winner. So also, if you download that Wealthsimple app Cash from the link in the description below, you get free money. Yeah, Wealthsimple will pay you $10 as well. And now you have to put $100 of investment in there, and you have to leave it there for 3 business days, but then that $10 is yours. So free money, free cash from us.
We like free money.
And Wealthsimple. Yes. Yeah, great.
For sure.
All right. So, Rachel, we have something fun to do today. What are we going to do today?
We have a financial literacy test. It's only 6 questions. They're in the description below in case you do miss them, or if you need some time to think about them, pound in that calculator, do some math. We'll get it figured out for you, and we'll go through it a little bit later and see how many questions you got right, and maybe teach you something in the fun. So, number 1, suppose you have $100 in savings account, earning 2% interest per year. After 5 years, how much do you have? A, more than $110, B, less than $106, or C, exactly $104.
So if you don't get them, they're all in the description below, okay? Because
Exactly.
we're going to go through them pretty fast.
So number 2, imagine that the interest rate on your savings account is 1% per year and the inflation is 2% per year. After 1 year, would the money in the account buy A, more than today, B, exactly the same as today, or C, less than today? Number 3, if the interest rates rise, what will typically happen to bond prices? A, will the bond price rise? B, will the bond price fall? C, the bond price will stay the same, or D, there is no relationship between interest rates and bond prices. Number 4, a 15-year mortgage typically requires higher monthly payments than a 30-year mortgage, but the total interest over the life of the loan will be less. True or false? 5, buying a single company's stocks provides a safer return than a mutual fund. True or false? Number 6, suppose you owe $1,000 on a loan and the interest rate you are charged is 20% per year compounded annually.
Sounds like a credit card.
It does sound like a credit card. Sounds like my credit card. If you didn't pay anything off at this rate, how many years would it take for the amount you owe to double? A, less than 2 years, B, between 2 to 4 years, C, between 5 to 9 years, or D, more than 10 years.
So those are some questions for our financial test.
They are.
So we went through them pretty fast, but they're in the link in the description down below. So if you already know that every Monday during our live show, in our live stream, you can receive $25 through Wealthsimple Cash when you subscribe and leave a comment. So today you got a test. All you have to do is simply answer the questions. Don't even have to be right. And you could win $25.
You could.
So there you go. So leave that comment before the 30-minute mark. And at the 30-minute mark, we will select one winner to receive $25. Now we're going to send that to you through Wealthsimple Cash. So use the link in the description below, download the app, and you'll get $10 from the company, and we can send you $25 too. Okay?
And you know what? If you win or if you don't win, at least you learn a little bit in the way.
Yeah. And we hope that you pass the test. Good. We'll see if Rachel passed.
I probably won't.
Oh, I bet you.
Although I do know one of the answers, so we'll see how many else I can try and guess.
All right. Now we're supposed to be doing the news. Let's get to the news. Kazakhstan is in the news. They are the second largest Bitcoin miner after the USA. 12% of all Bitcoin is mined in Kazakhstan because though the increasing gas price, they're one of the largest oil producers. So their own people started running out on the streets on January 1st because there was a shortage of gasoline, which sparked and ignited the population to unrest and protest in Kazakhstan. And it turned violent over surging fuel prices, corruption. Government reaction was then a show of force mobilized by the police and the army. And the government also disconnected the entire country from internet.
The whole country?
So imagine what happened to all the miners.
Oh my goodness.
It was a collapse of all Bitcoin miners from Kazakhstan. So the interesting, though, is the fact that Kazakhstan has big oil resources underground. As a result of this massive unrest, the Kazakhstan president vowed to destroy the terrorists. And the president authorized to open fire without warning, which means shoot to kill. Order is in effect. So more than 1,000 people were killed or badly wounded. And Saturday, after the Kazakhstan government resigned, the Kazakhstan president asked Moscow for help. And now more than 200 armed vehicles from Russia are waiting at the border ready to intervene in the conflict. As of yesterday, 5,800 people were arrested and detained. Now, I think I'd like to just explain a little bit about this story because I know a lot of Canadians don't understand Kazakhstan.
Mm-hmm.
So Kazakhstan, for those of you that know, their old capital used to be called Astana. So in 2019, though, they changed the name from Astana to Nur Sultan. Okay. Mm-hmm. So just so people aren't confused when they see this in the news. So Kazakhstan has a lot of oil underneath the ground.
Okay.
And they're pumping that out. So when they got their independence from Russia, mm-hmm. the first thing China did was move in and say, hey, we'll help you develop your country. So they built big roads and all that good stuff. And in order to pay for it, the Kazakhstan government paid them in oil.
Of course. What else did they have?
So this is the problem. So the local people can't get the oil. Mm-hmm. So they are out in the street protesting. Because, hey, if we have local oil, we should be paying cheap price for it.
You would think so.
But they're selling it all to China, okay?
Goodness.
Problem one. Problem two, they just got their independence from Moscow. So, and you know Putin, if you let him back in, he ain't never leaving, right? So either way, somebody's going to be taking the oil, Russia or China. So hence the big problem. And to compound all of this, how did Kazakhstan become such a big mining country? Well, China used to be the biggest miners of crypto.
Yeah.
Up until China banned it, right?
Yeah.
So then all the miners had to leave. So that's why U.S. is number one now. A lot of people went to China. A lot of people went to Kazakhstan because it's close and cheap power, right? So you need cheap electricity to mine. That's how you make your most money. So, and people said, you know, this would destroy the industry. To me, it proves how resilient and mainstream crypto now is. Because even though China banned it, it didn't fall off the earth. Crypto is still there and mining. And now Kazakhstan lost all their miners. It's still working today. Now, crypto is on a big slide. Other reasons to go in that. Stocks and everything. Inflation is going up. We're going to talk about that later. But I just thought I would explain a little bit about the backstory to why Kazakhstan is so important to crypto and mining.
And
All right.
it looks like we have Jaron back. Hi, Jaron.
Hey, welcome. Yeah, good. Nice to see you back again. And don't forget to do the test. So
Exactly.
there's a financial test in the description below. See how you do on the test there. So
Awesome.
welcome.
Okay, so Turkey has seized 25% of currency from all exporter companies after the Turkish lira collapsed over 40% in November 2021. And in an attempt to support the Turkish lira, the Turkish central bank has intervened several times in the market by selling foreign currencies, which has depleted the country's net reserve. And in other words, the Turkish economy is facing a collapse. So what is the reason for that collapse? So in the last quarter of 2021, the inflation rose from 21% to 46%.
46.
46%.
Wow. And my wife is complaining because at Home Depot, a 2x4 went from $4 to $6.
Yeah, can you imagine if it went from 4 to 400?
Wow.
And when inflation rises, usually the government raises the interest as well. But December 16th, the Turkish bank dropped the interest rate from 50% to 14%, and that is unheard of.
So they had an interest rate of 50%?
They did.
Imagine if you had to try and do something in that country and you had to borrow money.
Mm-hmm.
50% interest.
It's just impossible.
That's insane.
So Turkey is actually an Islamic country, and in the Islamic religion, it is forbidden to charge interest because the word riba, which means unfair, the Islamic religion says that interest is the mother and father of all evil. So the Turkish government is in a race to hyperinflation, and they'll get there quite fast.
Yeah, so this is weird because normally when you raise interest rates, what happens? Yeah.
Something else has got to go down,
That's
right?
So usually when inflation, they should not be opposite, but this guy's doing the opposite of what he should. So hyperinflation in Turkey. All right. Now I can also give you another backstory to that because being a pilot, I have a lot of friends. So Turkish Airways has a lot of foreign pilots there, and they were paid in Turkish lira.
Yeah.
So imagine if your money is deflating. So let's say I paid you $1,000 a month at the beginning of your contract. Halfway through your contract, the money's devaluated so much. Now you're being paid $500 a month.
That's crazy.
Are you going to hang around?
No way. No way.
So Turkish Airlines has a huge exodus right now of all their foreign pilots. And Turkish Airways is a big airline. They need a lot of pilots.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the whole country is in a mess there.
What a mess. So in other news, a company from Michigan who's in partnership with Tesla announced that they created a battery prototype that can give an autonomy of 750 miles to Tesla.
Okay, that's miles, not kilometers.
Miles, yes.
Yeah, so that's huge, right? Because the batteries that we currently have in most of our electric cars now, 300, maybe 400 on a good battery.
Yeah. So hopefully this will, bring those naysayers with electric cars because, they don't want to get broken down on the side of the road or something like that. To kind of move into that electric vehicle territory.
And 750 miles. That means I could drive now from here to Sault Ste. Marie before I got charged.
Exactly.
That's a long way.
Oh, Jaron has something to say. He says the Turkish changed their policy to pay at least 50% of your salary in USD, the last he heard.
Oh, there you go. So they're trying to hang on to their foreign pilots. Yeah, well, it's a mess out there. And as you know, with COVID, there's lots of pilots still laid off.
Yes,
so
for sure.
It's a mess. Yeah.
Okay, Donald Trump is facing criminal prosecution over the involvement on the events of January 6, 2021. Also, Donald Trump announced his platform called Truth Social, which will be live on the 26th of February, 2022. I'm sure you can tell I'm a little biased when it comes to this, so
You mean you don't like Mr. Trump?
I'm not a fan.
Okay.
Not really a fan, I'm not going to say.
So, just for those who don't pay attention to U.S. news, on the 6th of January, people attacked the White House, right? And so
I watched that live on TV. It was crazy. I was texting my mom, being like, "Are you seeing this?"
Yeah. And as soon as Donald Trump wasn't president, they kicked him off of Twitter and everything else.
Yeah.
So what's he do? He's going to make his own app.
Because what can't you do when you have that much money?
So he's going to have his own social app. And so apparently in February, it's going to be released. Are you going to join?
Definitely not.
No?
I'm not going to support him in any way.
I think
Sorry.
it's like cartoons. You go there and just watch the nonsense.
I'll get my cliff notes from the other news stories for sure.
All right.
So Federal Chair Jerome Powell will testify tomorrow, but last week he set a very negative catalyst. And in fact, the Federal Reserve will increase the interest rate aggressively over 2022. And since Jerome Powell released that news, the stock market and crypto market is bleeding bad.
So, you know the story about the mouse sleeping beside the elephant?
I don't think I know that one.
So if you're a mouse sleeping beside an elephant and he rolls over, what happens?
Oh,
You're dead.
I was going to say I'd run.
You'd run.
I'd run really
if you
fast.
can run, that's fine. But if you're not and you're sleeping too, you're dead.
Mm.
So Canada, US,
Yeah.
this is why now, it's one thing to talk about inflation in China and Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
But here in the US, when they sneeze, we get a cold, right?
Yes, of course.
So this is huge for us because if the US goes into high inflation, we're probably not far behind, right?
Okay.
So yeah, that's the one that kind of scares me is this Jerome Powell. He not even used the word temporary inflation now. It's full on inflation. And he's going to start raising interest rates.
Yeah.
Which, if you have a mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
bad news.
I don't have
I
a
don't have
mortgage,
one either.
but-
That's why I'm sitting on the sideline for right now
Yeah.
before I buy my house. But
Oh, Jaron says he still wouldn't work there until it was paid in USD.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you're smart.
Yeah. Better yet, pay me in crypto.
Yeah, please, pay me in
Pay me in
Bitcoin.
crypto.
So North Korea announced Friday that they will not be attending the Olympic Games starting in February in Beijing. North Korea is blaming hostile forces and the global pandemic for not being able to attend. But North Korea is also suspended from International Olympic Committee anyway until the end of 2022. So they just felt like they needed to
So this
put
one
their
kind
2
of
cents
kills
in,
me
I guess.
too. Like, oh yeah, we're not coming, but by the way, we're not allowed to come in.
Yeah, we weren't invited, but we're not coming to your silly party.
But again, this one does have a lot of consequences, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've heard by now that Mr. Trudeau is not going.
Yeah.
The U.S. is not sending their politicians.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to all send our athletes, but protesting China's human rights, a lot
Yeah.
of our politicians are not going. So again, the Olympics is supposed to be about sportsmanship and everything is being used politically.
It's good that like the athletes who've been training pretty much their whole lives can still go.
Yeah.
So that's at least a good positive, and Trudeau can stay home.
Yeah. But it's always world politics just gets in the way. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, guys. So as you guys were already told, and hopefully you know from our previous videos, every Monday at 7 p.m. during our live stream show, you can receive $25 through the Wealth Simple Cash app when you subscribe, like, and comment before the 30-minute mark of this video. And at that 30-minute mark, we are actually going to randomly select one comment per live stream show, and that person is going to receive $25 every Monday. So that could be the same person every Monday, couldn't it?
Yeah. All right. So I think it's time to answer our test, right?
Should we?
Yeah.
Did everyone, fill out their questions?
I don't see any comments there about who passed the test
I don't
yet.
know.
But let's take up the test and we'll see. Maybe they'll answer as we go along.
Maybe.
Okay.
Okay.
So question number 1. Suppose you have $100 in a savings account earning 2% interest per year. After 5 years, how much would you have? The correct answer is A, more than $110. All right. So if you invest $100 at 2%, after 1 year, you would have earned $2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So after 5 years, you'll have at least $10 that you've earned $2 for each year. So hence $110,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
But wait, there's more.
Okay.
It's like I'm going to sell you knives and stuff.
Yeah.
But wait.
But
there's more.
wait, there's more.
After 1 year, you have $102. So because you had that 2% interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now your 2% is actually going to be applied to the $102.
Okay.
So for every year, you have $2 extra. That's the power of compounding. So your savings grows and so do your returns. All right. So that means that after 5 years, you'll have $110. That's great, but it won't make you rich. Even if you somehow manage to earn 10% annualized return, your savings will have only grown to $161. That's good return.
Mm-hmm.
But in raw dollars, that's not enough to retire on. So, which is why this next sentence is so critical. And Rachel, if you can learn this now, you will be one smart girl.
Okay, I'm listening.
How much you save matters a lot more than your rate of return.
Okay, so I want to be putting money in.
You want to put money in now when you're young because it's huge. And this is why I laugh when I hear people say, oh, my guy got me 15% this year. Or my mutual fund did 18%. That's unheard of, right? That's good. But what's important is that you're putting money in every month now when you're young, because as we see, the compound interest works, but you need to have money in there for it to work on.
Fair.
So how much you save matters a lot more than the rate of return. Okay? The rate of return you achieve is at least partially outside of your control. But what is totally in your control is how much you save. So that's all up to us, right? You say, let's say you make $40,000 a year and you save 3% of your salary. So that means the first year you'll have $1,200 bucks. If you earn 4% return on that money, after 1 year, you'll have $1,248.
Okay.
If you manage an 8% return, you'll have $1,296. So that's not only better return, it's 2 times better. So at 4%, we have $1,248. At 8%, we have $1,296. So we have double the extra interest there, right? Yeah. But if you increase your rate of savings by 1% to 4%, you would now have $1,600.
Okay.
So you see what I mean by the amount you put in makes a way bigger difference. So we went from $1,200 to $600 just by going from 1% of our salary to 4% of our salary. So that's the huge part. So that's even if you didn't generate any return at all. So that's why if you want to build wealth, the most important thing is to focus nearly all your attention on your rate of savings and only the second plan on your rate of return. Okay. So the rate of savings, much better than the rate of return. The more you save, especially early on, the more you'll have for later. So spend a little time learning about investing now, especially for you who's young, and you won't end up like me.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely with that comes budgeting, because, you know, with $40,000 a year as an income, that's not too much to put towards, you know, saving and stuff like that. So that's budgeting comes in pretty important.
Yep.
For sure. Okay. So number 2, imagine the interest rate on your savings account is 1% per year and the inflation is 2% per year. After 1 year, with the money in the account by, the correct answer is C, less than today.
Wait a minute. So you're saying I get a raise, but I'm actually making less money?
Yes. So inflation is the rate describing the rise in the price of goods and services. So if inflation goes up by 2%, that means the average cost of goods rises also by 2%. So what that means is that if you only earn 1% on your savings, you've taken 1 step forward, but 2 steps back, because your net loss is actually that spending power of 1%. So the same is true if you get a 2% pay increase, but the inflation rises 3%. And that's why most companies call an annual overall increase a cost of living increase, because theoretically you aren't really getting a raise. The increase in pay is only offsetting that loss in buying power from inflation. So all of which is why your investment returns need to outpace the inflation. Otherwise, you aren't getting ahead. If you only earn 1% in your investment, it will take 72 years for your money to double, according to the rule of 72.
Wow.
So
this is where I feel so bad for guys like you, Rachel, and I notice it with my kids too, because, you know, like I look back now when I was your age, making money in my first job, I basically made the same amount of money you guys did. I think my income tax return back in 1985 was
blah, blah, blah. You're not supposed to say your age.
Well, you know, 40s. Seriously, back in 1985, I was making $40-some thousand back then. Right?
Yeah.
Which is roughly what people on minimum wage are making now. Well, maybe $20 an hour. And the cost of goods over all those 30 years have gone way up.
Oh, yeah.
So we're making the same amount of money you make as I did way back when I was younger. And yet inflation is just going through the roof.
Yeah. No, I totally remember when I got my first, you know, salary job, and it was $23,000 a year, and I was like, woohoo, I made it. And I couldn't even pay my rent on that from
Yeah,
now.
It's
So
insane.
for
So
sure.
that's why I feel sorry for younger people today. It's just really tough
Mhm.
trying to make it.
Okay, Brad, we talked about the rule of 72. So what is the rule of 72? So you're going to take the number 72 and you're going to divide it by the annual interest return. The result is actually going to be the number of years it will take for your money to double.
Right. Yeah, so that rule of 72 is very important, right? So
help you figure things out for sure.
Yeah. All right. So if interest rates rise, this is question number 3. What will typically happen to bond prices? The correct answer is B. The bond price will fall, except maybe unless you're in Turkey. That guy does everything backwards.
Yeah.
All right. The issuer of bond promises to pay a set interest rate over a specific term. So in effect, the buyer lends money to an issuer. The bonds can then be traded by investors in much the same way as stocks can. So let's say I own a 5-year bond that pays 5% interest, and interest rates go up to 6%. My bond is worth less than the new bonds issued at 6%, right? So, which means the value of my bond falls. So who wants a 5% bond when they can get a 6% bond, right? So my bonds now become hard to get rid of. That's why bond prices rise when interest rates fall, and bonds fall, prices fall when interest rates rise. It's like a teeter-totter, right? Okay. So if I bought a bunch of 6% bonds, in effect, I'm betting that the interest rate will fall so that my bonds will increase in value. Of course, I also get the interest on those bonds. So why not double dip, right?
Why not?
Okay. All right. So question number 4. A 15-year mortgage typically requires higher monthly payments than a 30-year mortgage, but the total interest over the life of that loan will be less.
Wait.
True or false?
I know this answer. So the answer is true.
True.
Am I right?
You are right.
Yeah. Got that one.
So now the example we're going to say is, say you borrowed $200,000 to purchase a home. In Ontario, that ain't happening. You're not getting a house for $200,000. But anyway, just for our example, let's say, okay, so you borrow $200,000 to purchase a home. So to keep it simple, we're not talking about homeowner insurance, taxes, all that stuff. We're just going to talk about principal and interest for now. Okay. You get a 30-year mortgage at 4%. Your monthly payments will be $955 a month. After 30 years, you will have paid a total of $143,000 in interest.
That's a lot.
Interest. That's not principal. Okay.
No.
You've paid all that interest. No wonder the banks are so rich, right?
Yeah. So my $200,000 I invested is still sitting there. I'm just paying off what I.
That's right.
Accrued.
Yeah. Now let's say if you got a 15-year mortgage at 3.5, so 4% for a 30-year mortgage, because your money's locked in longer. It's less. It's more risky, right? That stuff's going to happen. So that's why you'll get a lower interest rate for starters on a 15-year mortgage. So your monthly payment, though, will be $1,430. So that's $475 less per month. Okay. All right. So 30-year, you're going to pay $950 a month, but in the 15-year, you're going to pay $1,430 a month. So you will only pay a total of $57,000 in interest, which is $86,000 less on interest alone. So over the 30 years, right? Yeah. So that's because a 15-year loan pays off the loan principal at a faster rate. More of your monthly payment goes to paying off principal instead of paying interest, especially in the first few years of the loan. During the first few years of the loan, the vast majority of payment goes to paying interest, not principal. Okay? Okay. All of which means that you can afford a 15-year mortgage, you will save tons of money. That could mean buying less house or making different spending choices, or more likely, both. But if you can pull it off, the results are definitely worth it. For sure. And this is, we talked a bit about budgeting before. So this is definitely where budgeting would come into effect. Do you want to have that savings in your
mortgage, or do you want that skip the dishes, hamburger that looks really tasty?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So that's part of the problem is it's good if you can lower it, but it's expensive up front too. Okay. So you will save a lot of money. All right. Buying a single company stock usually provides a safer return for the mutual fund. You can answer this one.
Okay. So the correct answer is false.
Right.
So a mutual fund is an investment pool that purchases security. So think of a basket of stocks, and some of the mutual funds will include stocks from tens or possibly hundreds of companies, and that will help minimize the risk of any one stock falling dramatically in price. So if you look at when Enron went bankrupt, its stock became basically worthless. So if all your savings were in the Enron stock, you were devastated. But if you had shares in the mutual fund that included Enron stock, the value of the fund surely fell. But since the number of other stocks it didn't fall too bad. So that's why owning one stock is a bit riskier, but you can benefit from the upsides, of course, but you also have those downsides as well. So that means that if you choose a stock extremely well, you could have high payments, but as we all know, it's pretty impossible to choose a stock that's going to go super well.
Yeah. And we had the same thing in Canada. Remember when Nortel was around? That was before your time.
I think it might be.
Yeah, okay. Well, Nortel was a stock in Canada that was just shooting through the roof, and everybody piled on. And then all of a sudden we found out that the chief accountant was doing some magic money. And it went crashing down. But, again, so just really remember that mutual funds, you own a basket of funds, and especially if you're not going to manage your own retirement plan, better to be in a mutual fund. Yeah.
Okay, so number 6. So suppose you owe $1,000 on a loan and the interest rate you are charged is 20% per year compounded annually. If you haven't paid anything off at this interest rate, how many years would it take for the amount you owe to double? The correct answer is B, between 2 to 4 years. So people who thought it would take...
Does that sound like a credit card?
It does. It sounds like my credit card, actually.
Yeah, it does.
So, me and my minimum payments. So people who thought it would take 5 years probably forgot about the interest compounding. So after 1 year, you'll owe $1,200, but after 2 years, you get 20% applied to that amount, which means now you owe $1,450, and so on and so forth. And so if that sounds complicated, we can go back to our easy rule of 72, which is any interest rate of the return divided by 72. And that is the rate of return. And the result is how long it would take for your savings to double, or in this case, your debt to double. So if you take a 10% return, it will take 7.2 years for the amount to double. Getting a 6% return will require 12 years. Getting a 4% return will take 18 years, which means it will take 3.6 years if you don't make any payments for that $1,000 you borrowed to double. And if that sounds sharky, it's because it is.
So you have a credit card with $1,000 on it, and you make the minimum payment. How many years?
3.6.
3.6 years to pay your credit card off. That's insane.
It sounds right.
$1,000.
I have one that's been sitting at the same amount for a pretty long time.
So, but I mean, imagine people who have $8,000 and $10,000 limits on their credit card.
Yeah.
How many years? 30 years if you make the minimum payment, right?
And this is why we say put the shoes down.
Yeah.
You don't need them. Yep. You don't need it. If you can't afford it, you probably shouldn't buy it.
That's right. So that's the answers to our financial test today. So how did you do? Leave us a comment down there. We'd love to know. Did you pass the test? Did you learn anything in the test today? We'd like to know about that. So leave us a comment. We appreciate that.
I definitely learned stuff for sure.
Good for you.
Yeah. Yep. And it is our 30-minute mark here, Brad. Yep. So we can do our random choosing of our comments here.
Yep. So we'll make a choice, and next week we'll announce that winner, right?
So don't go anywhere. You got to come back. You got to come back to find out if you won or not. So don't forget. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, like, comment.
Yep.
Do all that fun
stuff.
All
right. So just a quick reminder, Simple Cash app down below. So if you get that app and you get $10, and then we can send you the $25 as well. and we can send that to you in crypto if you want. Yeah. And then also last week we talked about ShakePay.
We did.
So I'm curious, how did you do this week?
You know what? I can't remember. I've been really good, but today I don't remember if I shook.
All right.
So
check and see.
Should we see if we
Let's
shook?
check and see, because folks, remember, they use the link in the description below. When you download the ShakePay app, you're going to get $30 from ShakePay if you put $100 in investments in there. And also, don't forget then that you can shake every day. And remember that they're going to pay you in Satoshis, which is crypto. So,
Okay.
Rachel.
So that's what I'm at today. It's a little backwards. Sorry, guys. So I'm at $1.09. And
Free money in crypto.
I haven't invested anything. So
Rachel
it's
owns
just free money.
crypto.
Woo-hoo.
Yoo-hoo.
So I'm going to shake. Oh, and I am on a 14-day streak. I don't know if you can see that. 14-day streak now. And so I just earned 225 Satoshis.
Yay. So
And
Rachel
so now
owns
I'm at
crypto.
$1.21.
Excellent. So yeah, so remember that you can own both Bitcoin and Ethereum in ShakePay, and just by shaking your phone and having some fun, you can get some free Satoshis every day.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, for Simple Cash App, if you had that up until January 1st, we were having a lot of fun. They put on a promotion where you could send people $1 and get free money as well.
That's cool.
So
did you get some free money with that?
I made over $80 in the end.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
So just sending friends $1 and they'd send me one back, and ShakePay or Simple paid us.
Nice.
So I'm not sure when their next promotion will come up, but yeah, you get free money from all
I'm
these
sure there'll
people,
be
right?
more promotions because apps like to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. So that's cool. And then of course, folks, last but not least, we need to remind you that we are not financial advisors.
Definitely not me.
We don't have a license. So this is only for education and entertainment purposes. But, news is news and financial is financial. And the reason we're doing this channel is I'm 60 years old and can't retire. So hopefully Rachel can learn from us what we shouldn't do and what you should do. And hopefully Rachel can learn, and you too can too, right? That's why we're doing this, is for people to understand some simple stuff. And as always, there's a lot of stuff down in the description below, folks. We got some links there for books. If you want to know some of the financial principles that we're talking about, there's links in there for The Wealthy Barber. So use our link and then you'll get some good books and financial stuff down in the description is below. And then all the other links for Simple Cash, for ShakePay,
Yeah.
and CoinEx, other stuff that's down in there that we recommend, and you'll get free money for doing all that good stuff. Okay.
And if you didn't do the quiz now, you can come back later and watch this again and go through it and let us know. Send us a comment and let us know how you did.
Yep. All the questions are down below in the description. And if you watch the video, you now have the answers. Mm-hmm. So thanks for being with us again today, YouTube. We appreciate all of you. Thanks for learning along with us. We are growing the community, and it's been a lot of fun. So that's the news for today. Thanks for being with us. Keep it in the green, YouTube, and we'll see you again next time.